What's good, everybody? You're tuned in to the Ken Jackson Experience, where old school meets real talk. I'm your host, Ken Jackson. Welcome to the show today. I've lived through the golden era and the grind. And today, we're diving into a subject I know all too well. From vinyl to viral, the evolution of music and culture, and how the music game has changed, how we changed, and how we make sense of it all in this digital world.
See, the game is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe a certified pimp. So fly. Oh, yes, he is. I mean, that boy does the shit. So messy is. Fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare. Won't get next to him. Because he's so fly. I mean, the boy's so clean. From his white tee on down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.
Welcome to the show. So anyway, I decided to take a different direction today. Want to talk about the music industry because that's what I know best. So this is the first episode from vinyl to viral. So let's get into it. Let's take it back to when you had to carry crates of records. We were recording on cassettes. Do y'all remember what cassettes used to look like? And when the DJ was the neighborhood king, I remember my best friend, my big bro, was one of the top DJs in our hood, and was throwing down at all the house parties. House parties, remember those? I can't remember the last house party I went to when I was a kid. But back in the day, as far as hip-hop was concerned, lyrics mattered more than likes. I remember being in the studio as an adult when I started my first production company with no computers. We didn't have any type of computer recording. We were recording on cassette decks. My first recorder was a Tascam Porta 3, I believe. It was a 4-track cassette recorder, and I was the most popular dude in my neighborhood. By this time, I was fresh out of the Navy, living in San Diego, and I had set up my first production company, DMT Entertainment, Diverse Musical Talent, in which I was a management company. But because at the time I couldn't really afford studio time back in those days, and plus studios were like you had to book months in advance just to get an opening. You know what I'm saying? For just a couple of hours. So I went to Radio Shack. Bought myself a music workstation. It was a Peavey, a DPM 8. Had an 8-track sequencer. Probably about 150 sounds to mess with. No sampler, nothing like that. At the time, the big sampler was the Ensoniq. I forget the numbers on it. But that was a thing to have, but it was way out of my budget at the time. So the DPM-8 was my main workstation, my Tascam Porta 3 recorder, my Radio Shack microphones and headphones, and we were doing our thing, and that's where it all began. But eventually I relocated to Florida, and then got, while I was in Florida with my next company, because DMT Entertainment got defunct, had to dissolve it when I got divorced. So when I moved to Florida, I started. Oh man, what were we called? I can't even remember. What were we called? Vertigo? I think it was Vertigo Entertainment. And we were promoting shows at Club Med here in Port St. Lucie, Florida, which is no longer a thing. I mean, Club Med itself is still there as a community, but back then it was like a hot spot, to be able to do shows and stuff. They had a nice little show space there that we could rent out and do our thing. So I did a couple of talent shows and things of that nature. But that was it. We had to hustle. We had to grind. We were out on the streets, after we recorded our music, selling cassette tapes, and if we were lucky and had it in our budget, we got T-shirts, and big posters and flyers put all over the place, and we were, just trying to find places to perform. It was very hard getting performance space at the time. So, but we did what we could. Nothing like today's environment where you really, really don't have to grind that hard. You can go viral. You can go viral literally in 30 seconds. If you got I was about to tell a lie. I was about to say, if you got a good song, you don't even have to have a good song now. A lot of the music coming out now, or a lot of the music getting recognized now, is such garbage. Oh my God, I hate it. That's part of the reason I got out of the music business, is because when I sold my studio, mumble rap was coming up, and so that was it. So like I said, I got into digital recording. With first it was Pro Tools. I had the very first copy of Pro Tools, and then eventually graduated to what I use now, which is PreSonus Studio One Pro. But I don't do any audio recording anymore. I just do this podcast. I'm not into the music business like I used to be, because it is so different now. So I leave that to the youngsters. But let's talk about it, though. Back in the day, we had analog soul versus digital speed. All right. Technology made things easier, no doubt. You can produce a track on your phone today. Ain't that crazy? I remember, and that's not new. It's been some years you've been able to do that. I had a kid come into my studio before we shut down. He had recorded his entire album and shot like 5 or 6 videos all on his iPhone. And that was like back when it was like the iPhone, I think it was the iPhone 9 or 10, I mean, it was way back, 10 years ago. I don't know. But nowadays you can get studio quality production, and you got it in the palm of your hand. I shoot a lot of video with my Android, and honestly, people don't know the difference when they're looking at it, unless I really get into trying to present something that's super cinematic. And then even with that, it's hard to tell now, because I've seen feature movies that have been shot with smartphones. That's crazy. Never would have thought. Listen, if I'd had the technology that we have now back in the late 80s, early 90s, be a monster right now. I'd be a monster. But anyway, like I said, technology made things easier. And that also pretty much is what killed a lot of the studio businesses, because a lot of these kids are literally sitting at home, in their bedrooms, using their closets for sound booths and things of that nature. And they are recording, some great sounding music, making tracks, with free software, and it's just crazy. A lot of the, a lot of the new technology, is sounding really good. But the question is, did we lose something in the speed? Did the quality fall off? Did the production quality, the vocal qualities, is that lacking now? That's the big question. The feel of real instruments, the pain in the vocals, takes that weren't auto-tuned, what late night sessions, that built family and not followers. That's what it was for us. We were, my studio crew, we were all family. The artists that I worked with, we were a tight little unit, and we worked hard, all of us, looking for that hit song. You know what I mean? And we used to develop artists. Now we develop content. So it's a lot different now. There's been a cultural shift. Back then, music came with a message. It moved people. It made statements. From Marvin Gaye asking what's going on, to Public Enemy saying fight the power. I know a lot of you youngsters don't know anything about that, but that is what I cut my teeth on in the music industry. Music really meant something, and it was saying something. Now, I don't know what the hell these rappers are talking about now. I can't decipher any of the bullshit that they're putting out there, and the industry is continuing to promote, it seems like, the worst of the worst. And these kids are eating that shit up as if it's good music, and it's really not. Call me old school, call me whatever you want, but there is a lot of garbage out there now that's being pushed and embraced, and it's sad. It's sad. Now we got trends, we got dances and challenges, but where's the soul? The soul of the music is gone, in my opinion. There's no more feeling in it. There ain't no more passion, in the creativity. These kids are throwing together 10, 15, 20 songs in a night, and then throwing them all on the internet and seeing what people bite on, and most of the time they bite on the worst of it all, It's crazy. Now, can old school still win? I don't know. I hope so. I hope we have a resurgence of when music was really music and when it was meaningful. I hear a lot of young artists out there now that are overlooked, and they really, really need to be put out into the forefront. But for some reason, these young crowds now don't want that. They want the pop. They want the glitz and the glamour, and the stunting. You know what I mean? And it's just sad. But here's the thing, though: old school ain't dead. It's just being drowned out by the noise, in my opinion. But trust me, real still recognizes real. Unfortunately, us real ones are old now. I'm pushing 60 right now. I came up at the beginning of the hip hop music. Back in the day, I was with the pioneers of this music business, and now the ones that are not with us anymore, I know they're turning over in their graves, at what's going on in the industry right now. But there's a whole lot of generation looking for depth. looking for truth, looking for something real. So if you're an artist out there, don't just chase the trend. Put your passion into your music. Find your voice. Build your foundation. Don't let yourself be driven by what the current hotness is, or you know what you know the current popular fad is, because that's not going to be long lasting. If you want to truly build a solid music career, stay true to yourself. Make music that's going to last the test of time. Plain and simple. I don't care what anybody says to you. If you're making good, solid music from the heart, it's going to be here in 20, 30, 40 years. And that's what you want, to have a long, healthy career in the industry, regardless of what's going on, regardless of the popular trends and the fads and bullshit. Because we didn't just make music, we lived it. Hip-hop was our life, it was a culture, and it is a culture. It still is a culture. But from cassette tapes to NFTs, from labels to streaming platforms, I've seen the whole wave. And what I know is this: no matter how the delivery changes, the truth in the music will always cut through. That's a fact. Trust me on that. If you are authentic, it will always rise up to the top and to the forefront. All right, so thanks for joining me, y'all, on the Ken Jackson Experience. If this episode spoke to you, share it. Hit me up with your thoughts and how you've seen music and culture evolve. Until next time, stay real, stay grounded, and stay in tune.
See, the game is lame and absurd, but you spit. You need to sit back and observe. A certified pimp, so oh yes he is. I mean that boy just the shit. So messy is fresh to death. Ain't nobody fresh as he is. They can't compare or get next to him because he's so fly. I mean the boy's so clean, from his white tee on down to those jeans. You see the ice in the pinky.